Protesters outside the White House with a banner confronting Donald Trump for his word. They're saying not a hoax because the evidence has rebutted, confronted, and really debunked some of Donald Trump's claims about these Epstein files, which he is in, including allegedly the card that now has been released by the Epstein estate. This card is all the way back from 2003. It is exactly what the Wall Street Journal said it was, which undercuts Trump's denials. And it went from the Epstein estate to the House Oversight Committee. And you can see the drawing and the poem or inscription, which we've read before, which suggests that the man who signed this card, Donald J. Trump, knew all about what Epstein was up to. The White House continues to deny that this card is from Trump, a denial that obviously is contradicted by the evidence from the Epstein estate. They have been holding on to this thing, along with other documents. They handed it over under subpoena. No one has come through with any kind of rational explanation to explain what this is, if not what Donald Trump gave to the Epstein then household, now estate. And this morning, Trump just announced he doesn't see this as a live issue anymore. None of this type of denial is working.
If he didn't sign these, if you said he didn't sign the birthday card, he didn't do this, he also didn't do the check, those were in documents from the estate. So what is the working theory as to why he's in the
Epstein case? Would the White House support a professional handwriting expert review of the document released yesterday?
One of the other documents released by the House Oversight Committee contained a photo of Jeffrey Epstein holding an oversized check.
As the president, will he meet with the victims?
On and on it went like that. As we saw there, we're showing you the journalists with all these questions, not necessarily the answers, some of which were not newsworthy or don't pass sort of our standards review for the facts. Because Donald Trump has no good answer to this. He just sued the Wall Street Journal, and he denies it. But, of course, we have the hard evidence from the Epstein estate. And Republicans don't know what to say.
Look up this birthday card to see if it's legit or not. The president says it's not. I take the president's word.
Clearly, the birthday note from President Trump is a fallacy.
This was just a disgusting human being that I don't think anybody that ever wrote him a card letter for a 50th birthday.
I think it's just a foolish red herring that people are trying to look at for political divisiveness.
Do you think the Trump birthday note to Epstein is real?
I don't. They say it's not.
The question is not whether people think it's real, because people in politics can deny anything they don't want to deal with. The question is about the veracity of the evidence, something we've reported on for you, that it came from the Epstein estate under subpoena by independent executors under the color of law. You can get in a lot of trouble for tampering with that type of evidence, and there's no rationale. No one's put forward a motive for why someone, the lawyer or executor of this estate, would take those risks, nor any evidence of that happening. So the real question is, why did Donald Trump know so much about Jeffrey Epstein's scurrilous activities, whether they've been convicted or not at that point all the way in 2003? How many people, Donald Trump included, around Epstein knew about his activities or his outright pedophilia and sex trafficking and either looked the other way or didn't mind or made jokes about it, at a minimum? That's before you get to the question of whether the Donald Trump administration in the first and second term has committed malfeasance or worse with regard to the case. And some Republicans have joined the Democrats on this push to get even more evidence. Here's one MAGA podcaster.
Yeah, it's not more people covering it.
He just has to do one thing. Stop calling it a hoax.
Agree.
Stop, trolling this topic because you're turning your own team against you.
That's your own team saying stop turning you against them, right? Now, there was also a photo of Epstein holding this kind of novelty check that they joked or suggested was some sort of payment. Of course, it's a novelty giant check. Looks more like hijinks than the actual changing hands of money. The Wall Street Journal reports that the man there is a Mar-a-Lago member, Joel Pasco. The note reads, Jeffrey showing early talents with money and women, sells fully depreciated. A name is redacted to Trump for $22,500. Now, the image also released from the Epstein birthday book, you see this cartoon of Epstein giving balloons and other assortments to what appear to be children. Those are girls, 1983. And then flash forward 20 years, and there they are as cartoon images, multiple people, semi-nude, massaging him, and you see the inscription, "What a great country." The point isn't to get into all the prurient back and forth. The point is that a large part of the denials from Donald Trump and other elites was that no one knew this was going on, and later when they found out, they made changes. That's been one of the cover stories. That is detonated by some of the details in the book. And as we've been careful to point out, someone's link or socializing with this now deceased sex trafficker does not automatically mean they were doing any convictable crimes. But it does detonate and explode many of the defenses that said people didn't know what was going on, just as Donald Trump's birthday card, which is strong evidence that undermines his case against the Journal, suggests that he was well aware that Epstein had all these sort of activities and all these references to things being young and staying secret. Meanwhile, Democrats are on offense.
They were boys.
They were boys.
Like no question about it.
If Republicans don't want to engage in a cover-up of pedophilia and this pedophilia ring, they should go sign this discharge petition.
The Epstein saga is perhaps the nastiest example of a trend that infects his entire presidency.
This idea that he wasn't close to him is crazy, but I do think that it's going to be so important for us to really dig in.
All of those are fair questions. There's also word that a bipartisan group of congressional investigators want to meet with Epstein's estate lawyers tomorrow. And remember, a lot of this got kicked up and escalated and elevated by people who claimed they wanted to get to the bottom of the Epstein scandal. Those people at one time included Donald Trump as a candidate, his Attorney General Pam Bondi, Mike Johnson, who you saw there saying he doesn't believe anything, he's not interested, the president now saying it's a dead issue. That is a tell.
More Epstein documents about to be released. The Epstein estate, right now as I speak, preparing to hand over more information to the House Oversight Committee. And I'm going to speak with the top Democrat on that committee in just a moment about what they're expecting and when. It comes as the White House press secretary is still calling all of this a hoax.
And why are the Democrats all of a sudden caring about this? It's because they are desperately trying to concoct a hoax to smear the president of the United States.
Epstein's crimes, as we say every time this story happens, is and were not a hoax. They were disgusting and warrant full investigation. And anyone who knew about them, was aware of them, or participated in them should be held to account. But don't take our word for it. Listen to the victims.
We are tired of looking at the news and seeing Jeffrey Epstein's name and saying that this is a hoax. We are tired of it.
Mr. President Donald J. Trump, I am a registered Republican, not that that matters because this is not political. However, I cordially invite you to the Capitol to meet me in person so you can understand this is not a hoax. We are real human beings. This is real trauma.
Haley Robson, who you just heard right there, will be my guest. She is coming up in just a few moments. But the White House did not stop there in trying to make this a mere political fight and trying to make this about Democrats versus Republicans.
They could have cared about those victims 4 years ago when Joe Biden was in office. They could have pushed for transparency then.
Now that is true. But somebody was pushing then for transparency, right? Somebody who is not pushing for it now, somebody who is blocking it now. And that somebody is Republicans, and specifically Republicans who are very close to Trump.
How is it that my father could be convicted of 34 crimes, but no one on Epstein's list has even been brought to light?
Seriously, we need to release the Epstein list. That is an important thing.
Put on your big boy pants and let us know who the pedophiles are.
What the hell are they hiding with Jeffrey Epstein?
Those voices now, so many of them so quiet, are suddenly on the other side of this. Still, tonight, no one has been brought to light, as Don Jr. rightly demanded. So why is the White House now trying to block that same transparency that Trump's closest allies once fought so hard for? Well, is it perhaps because it now hits too close to home? I mean, sure, there's Trump's signature on the letter in Jeffrey Epstein's book, tip of the iceberg, perhaps. Trump's name on an oversized check featured in a photo showing Epstein joking about selling Trump a, quote, fully depreciated. Now, the White House says neither of those signatures are Trump's. And, of course, Trump hasn't been accused of wrongdoing in relation to Epstein's crimes. But despite years of calls for transparency from Trump's allies and an ongoing lack of transparency from the White House, Republicans are changing their tune, no longer calling for that same transparency and instead jumping on board with the easy bandwagon of quote-unquote Democratic hoax. But not all Republicans. And one Republican who has stood up for what is right here has his theory as to what's going on.
I don't think my colleagues are happy about covering up for pedophiles, but that's what's happening. And it's so sick and twisted. The reason they're doing it is because they're terrified of President Trump's political machine.
Okay, he said it. And that is the reality. And it is clear that Trump wants to move on. Right today, when he was asked about the signature in the birthday book, he responded, quote, "I don't comment on something that's a dead issue. It's a dead issue." I think he thinks that if he says that enough times, it will suddenly become true. But why is it suddenly dead when we don't have any of the information that Trump's allies were calling for? Who were the people who were partaking in Epstein's actions? Who were the men who were also engaging in pedophilia? Who are they? As Trump's own FBI deputy director said just 2 years ago.
Why do they want to make this Jeffrey Epstein story go away so bad?
Why? I mean, literally, why? It shouldn't be hard to just say, put it all out there.
If I'm going to comment on what you just saw there, what I would really emphasize is that Donald Trump knew. He and other people, and that includes a former Democratic president, it seems, They knew Jeffrey was a weirdo. If you look at the gifts they gave, if you look at how they all flew on the plane, or a lot of them flew on the plane, if you look at just the tone of everything, like Trump's card, but not only Trump's card, there's other things too. It really paints a picture that even if these guys weren't participating in all of the debauchery of Epstein, they knew it was happening. They knew who he was. They knew his motivation. They knew that this was a man that taught high school before he became a billionaire and apparently showed a lot of particular interest in the female students, right? Like, if you know what I mean. None of this was a secret. This was all sort of well known in the context of his buddies. I don't know how well known it was in public. I don't know if this was something that everybody knew in Manhattan type thing, but his buddies knew. And so that's important to realize, that this isn't something that Trump found out about and his buddies found out about when he first started getting hit with charges and investigations and lawsuits and blah, 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 blah. But it's also important to realize that Trump's going to continue trying to deny this. He is going to deny everything from, oh, the signature isn't real, to I don't know how to draw, to I don't know what enigma means, to any of those things. And he's going to call the entire thing a hoax. So what he's effectively saying is, everything I've been talking about has been a hoax. All of this. And so therefore what he's also effectively saying is, Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein are innocent. That seems to be what he's saying, if he's calling the entire thing a hoax. So when we're talking about a pardon for Maxwell, like, what's going to be his argument? His argument in reality is, she's going to say what I want and give me, and I'm going to pay her back. That's going to be my speculation on the actual, like, motivations. But the public motivation is this: all of these women are lying. But don't let him get away with it. Donald and all the other men knew who their friend was. They were either like him or fine with him being that freakazoid.